She stared at me across the kitchen counter. The same place where we once shared midnight snacks and laughter over spilled wine and burnt toast. But this morning, something in her eyes wasn't distant. It was done, and as she leaned forward, her lips parted not to kiss or confess affection but to deliver the 7 words that would unmake our world. I regret everything, every single thing with you. And my grip tightened around the mug in my hand, not because I was shocked. No, the shock had died. Months ago, slowly bled out by all the excuses, forgotten anniversaries and late-night meetings that didn't match her calendar. This wasn't the first wound, just the final one, the confirmation of what I already knew in my bones, in the scent of unfamiliar cologne on her coat when she came home late, in the way she recoiled when I touched her, like love was a burden she hadn't asked to carry, and even as those cruel words echoed in the silence, I didn't ask who he was because I already knew. Had seen his name in old texts, his face pop up in suggested friends she claimed not to talk to anymore. And when I finally put the patterns together, I stayed quiet, not because I was afraid, but because I wanted to see just how far she'd fall before realizing I had caught her with my silence. And maybe I hoped she'd stop herself, maybe I wanted to believe that the woman I fell in love with would return and choose to fight for what we had. But instead I watched her drift further away, watched her come home late with tired lies and smell of someone else's cologne faint beneath her perfume, watched her laugh at her phone then set it face down the moment I entered the room, watched her become someone I could no longer recognize, and still I said nothing, because sometimes silence is the only weapon left when your words have already been spent on someone who no longer hears you. And now that she had finally looked me in the eyes, finally admitted it aloud, I felt no urge to scream or cry, only a strange calm as I walked to the bedroom, opened the top drawer where I had hidden the engagement ring she once begged me not to take off during arguments, and for a moment, I remembered how her eyes sparkled the day I slid it on her finger, before the lies, before the silence, before the man who stood between us even entered the picture, and I brought it back to her, not with anger, not with bitterness, but with a kind of stillness she wasn't ready for. Because when someone expects you to fall apart and instead you stand tall, the guilt they buried deep inside begins to claw its way out, and as I placed the ring on the counter between us, her lips trembled, as if some part of her didn't expect me to let go so easily, and maybe she thought I'd fight, that I'd beg for her love again, that I'd shout or curse or cry and give her another reason to blame me for her betrayal, but I just looked at her one final time, memorized the face of the stranger I used to know, and without a single word I walked to the door, grabbing nothing but my car keys and peace, and as I closed it behind me, I heard the sharp breath she took like she wanted to say something, maybe an apology, maybe a goodbye, maybe nothing at all. But I didn't wait, didn't look back, because sometimes the only way to reclaim yourself is to walk away without burning the house down, and let the silence speak louder than your pain ever could. And while she stood there with a ring she no longer deserved and the echo of her own regret to keep her company, I drove through a sunrise that looked more beautiful than I had remembered in months, and I knew then that sometimes love ends not with hatred or fire, but with a silence so heavy it crushes the one who thought they'd broken you.